nearly, imagine, more than 1,000 participants from all over the world, including from the Republic of China, from America, from Europe, who attended that. And in that conference for 2.5 days, scholars of Islam and scholars of Confucianism discussed, presented their papers. We talk about in what way we can talk about commonalities. We emphasize on what were the things, what were the values or the ideas that bind the two together, the two civilizations, Islam and Confucianism. Since many of you, especially those who are under 30, I mean, you are not yet in this world, I want to, you know exactly why we had that. So I thought, why not I take a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, to tell you, to share with you, what is it that prompted us? I say us, I'm referring to basically my own position as the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the time, as the Chairman of the Organizing Committee, and Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim as the Deputy Minister, who was the patron of that conference and who delivered the official address. Well, first of all, I want to talk about the intellectual background of that. Why I want to do this? Because that intellectual background that led to the event is not simply a matter of historical interest. That was valid for that time. They just want to know. No, I'm saying that in any future dialogue between Islam and Confucianism, the intellectual background must always be there. In other words, the ideas that inspired that conference, I think those ideas still are still valid, still relevant to us today and the future. That is very important. That's all of that. So basically, what I call intellectual background means the ideas. What I will basically have to talk about my involvement. That started it all in 1992, when after Samuel Huntington published his paper in the summer issue, or the Foreign Affairs, and that was the summer issue. It just happened that I was a visiting scholar, Fulbright visiting scholar at Harvard University, at the Department of Science, and people in Harvard were debating about the Clash of Civilization thesis of Samuel Huntington. That started it all, and it was during that year that I came. Of course, I talked with my old PhD supervisor, Professor Sefson Nasser, who certainly inspired me, who certainly encouraged me to have a dialogue on Islam and Confucianism. He introduced me to Tu Weiming, Professor Tu Weiming, who was at Harvard. Incidentally, because of that introduction, I became acquainted with Professor Tu Weiming, and he invited me. He suggested my name to attend a conference in Slovenia. We were in a team drafting the World Social Summit held in Copenhagen in 1994, and for 1 year before the event. So when we were in Slovenia, in Copenhagen, we talked a lot about how we can prepare this big conference. This many things people do not know. And of course, personally, I read works on Confucianism. I was first introduced to Confucianism not in Malaysia, it's not in Malaysia, even though Malaysia, we have Confucianists living side by side, but I did not know about Confucianism until I did my PhD at the Temple University in Philadelphia, where I learned introduced to the course by Professor Francis, Professor Charles Fu, who taught this about Confucianism and Buddhism. And then when I was in Temple also doing my PhD, I was president of this Muslim Student Association at the university. As president, I invited Professor Huston Smith, the author of the famous book, The Religions of Man, in which one long chapter is on Confucianism. I've never seen such a writing by a non-Confucian who is so sympathetic to Confucianism. It's as if it was written by a believer in Confucianism. And I was influenced by that. So basically, I would say that the immediate background was Samuel Huntington, because it's clash of civilization, especially when his book, in book form appeared. But the point is that Samuel Huntington referred to the idea of the possibility that one day, the possibility that Islam and Confucianism, these two civilizations, will get together, have a kind of fight against Western civilization. But to be honest, I did not believe in that, because we have been holding dialogue of civilization between Islam and the West much earlier. All right. The fact that immediately after the event in 1995, Muslim leaders followed up on that by organizing big dialogue of civilization. I think that shows that and which later was adopted as the program called Alliance of Civilization, when the United Nations was under the Secretary General of Kofi Annan. You must know how important the role played by the leaders of Muslim countries that led to that event. That shows that dialogue of civilization, or the Islam, in trying to be closer to Confucianism, has nothing to do with a political plan. It has nothing to do with some kind of global agenda to clash against the West. That's not true. But the point is, that was the background, the textual background that led to that 1995 event. Precisely, we were very really interested in having a better understanding. And of course, there is also the social political background, the Malaysian community, Malaysian society. We are a multi-religious country, a multi-ethnic country, the majority Chinese, the Malays and the Chinese live together. But we live together. We live in peaceful coexistence, but we do not really understand each other. We do not go deeper into our mind, into our soul. So that event in 1995 was very, very significant, because then we realized that beyond the surface of things, actually there are many elements, values, ideas that we share. So I think and this is documented in the Islam and Confucianism that I co-edited with this in that 1997. It has been translated already now into Mandarin, and of all languages, it is also translated into the Bosnian language. It's quite very interesting. So that's basically what we are commemorating to remember the event. So both, of course, for the Prime Minister, for Tosi Anwar, he has studied about Confucianism much earlier than me. He knew about Confucianism much earlier than me. Yeah? And I knew him to be someone who is very, very interested in dialogue when he was still a youth leader, a student leader. So that's been going on for a long time. So I was not surprised, and when, of course, he welcomed very much that event. And he has never stopped. He has been encouraging that. One, 30 years after, 3 years after the event, what happened? I mentioned just now about President Xi coming to this country, and then I have been told by Wisma Putra, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that China and Malaysia have agreed as one of the MOUs to be signed is the MOU on Islam and civilizational dialogue. And university, the Ismail, of course, is selected for the MOU on other issues. Two MOUs between University of Malaya and China, I think in the field of engineering and AI. But as far as Islam and cultural dialogue, Malaysia has chosen the International Islamic University of Malaysia, of which I am now rector. And so, of course, it means that we have to be a new center in order to implement the MOU. That's 30 years after the event. I've never expected that that event 30 years ago would see that levels like. But given just a little time, let me talk about what happened in the intervening years. I just want to highlight some of the important events